Welcome back. Today's topic is visual aids. First, beyond all else, please do not create slides that look anything like this. While I'm being facetious here with this slide, I have genuinely seen visuals like this at a professional conference. Keep it simple, keep it clean. No cheesy clip art, no hard to read font. Please, no strange font colors. Generally speaking, you want high contrast, so use black or white font. Include minimal text on each slide. Include things like dates, names of individuals, historically significant events, concept, or key terms, particularly if they are long, complicated, or difficult to spell words or phrases. You might experiment with adding drop shadows, borders around images, and so on and so forth. But again, the operating principle here is keep it simple. Only include visuals that help get your message across to your audience. Cut everything else to avoid unnecessary clutter. And avoid distracting transitions like that. So in summary, keep things clean. So I want to show you what I mean explicitly by, keep these visuals clean and tidy. Here are 7 example slides from a presentation about the history of the internet that I use in my Introduction to Pop Culture course. I'm not really going to say anything here, so I'm going to go through 7 slides pretty quick. All right, that was way too fast. Obviously, when I would be showing these in class, I would be discussing or talking about something on each one of those images, right? But as you can see, there's not much going on. It's typically 1, maybe 2 images and a bit of text. Very, very minimal. So when you're building your slides, it's really important to explore the various functions in the application that you're using. You can align and resize images, add borders, shadows, mirror-like effects, animations, and so on. There are a lot of tools, and you're going to need to explore and play around with them. Now, this isn't a class about PowerPoint or Keynote, so I'm not going to walk you through the basic functions of these sorts of presentation platforms. If you do have any questions, just shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to help you out the best I can. I do, however, want to offer a few tips that I think will help you produce more professional presentations. PowerPoint and Keynote, and I'm working here in Keynote, which is the Mac equivalent of Microsoft's PowerPoint, have what is called a presenter mode. When you connect a laptop or a tablet to an external monitor or a projector, your computer's default setup will shift your laptop or tablet or whatever device you're using into presenter mode, while feeding the finalized public presentation visuals to an external monitor or projector. I want to sort of walk you through a few helpful features in presenter mode. So on the left, we have our current slide, where we can see any builds or animations that will introduce additional text or images onto the screen or make them move about. On the right-hand side, we can see a preview of our next slide. Now, this is incredibly useful because it allows you to gather your thoughts and to naturally lead the conversation from the content being discussed on the current slide into the next. It's also a great reminding tool in case you've forgotten what comes next in the high-stress moment of presentation. Up at the top, we have a timer. This allows you to keep the exact time of how long you've been speaking. At conferences, for example, it's a total faux pas to go over your allotted time. If you do this, you're bad and you should feel bad. Use the timer function in your presentation software, whether Keynote, PowerPoint, or something else, and it's there to help you, so let it help you. Let it help you not be a terrible person. And at the bottom, we have our presenter notes. Here I include bullet points of highlights, main points, names of films, important dates, concepts, basically anything that I know I need to talk about in relation to a given slide. This will help you keep on track, and it'll allow you to be able to improvise while knowing what marks you need to hit before moving on to the next slide. Most presentation applications will have this kind of presenter or presentation mode, and they are, more often than not, customizable. So you can rearrange things on your screen, include other features, and so on. This is an excellent resource that will instantly make your presentations better. Another quick tip for your presentation notes. I frequently include complex multi-part animations in many of my presentations. In order to keep all of those things organized, I include what I guess I would call click reminders in my presentation notes. I tend to avoid slide transition effects that animate between slides altogether. Instead, I will frequently animate text or images to appear in the presentation at specific times, and then I coordinate those animations with my notes. I include the bolded word click in parentheses whenever I need to animate a specific visual element. This really helps keep you on track. It looks professional and polished, and doing all of this work really forces you to practice your speech ahead of time. Okay, let's look at some more concrete examples of how you might use simple animations, minimal images, and text arranged in a clean layout to introduce an important scholar or historical figure. I'm going to provide two different sort of approaches that I use in my own presentations. One includes more text on the screen. I tend to use these sorts of slides for introduction courses at the beginning of the semester that meet face-to-face. The second type of introduction setup I will frequently use in online courses like this one, where students can pause and replay content should they miss something in class. Right here we have an introduction to the cultural theorist, Karl Marx. I have a total of 5 simple animations, what Keynote calls a pier, that reveal a series of bullet points. I do not like slides with this much text, so here we have those 5 points. But sometimes you have to make concessions because it's more important to get your message across than it is to appear stylish. If you're faced with a dilemma of choosing between substance or function over style, I'd recommend you choose substance and function, but that decision will be something that you have to make on your own. Here's another format that I would use to introduce an author. This one is cleaner and I think generally more appealing, but it also required a lot more work behind the scenes. I had to take time to Photoshop the author to the right out of the existing photo that I had of her. Then I resized and positioned it before adding a drop shadow. The books were resized and aligned, and borders were added. Then, because there's virtually no text on this slide, that means I have to create a useful set of notes that correspond to this slide. That text gives these images and the words meaning. Otherwise, it's meaningless for an uninformed audience. This brings me to animations. Okay, let's talk animations. Generally speaking, I would suggest that you be conservative with your use of animations. A series of bullet-pointed sentences appearing on screen one at a time is one thing, but something like this is entirely different, right? Would you want to create this kind of content for most professional situations? No, probably not. Maybe you're creating content for a YouTube channel or some sort of entertainment outlet, then by all means. For me, I use animations in class to bring levity to our discussion and also just because I enjoy it. While I use animations to hopefully add humor into my lectures, they also serve an important function. They are illustrative. They give my students and I something to think about, to think with, and to think through. In some cases, the animations are simple and useful, and other times I include them because I just like them and I think, again, they are appropriate for the communicative context in which I'm speaking. And lastly, here is a slide that I want to show you for no particular reason whatsoever. All right, let's wrap this up. If you take away nothing else from this video lecture, remember this: less is more. You want to make clean visuals with minimal text. You need to be highly organized and thoughtfully structure your work in such a way that it naturally progresses through your message from one point to the next before you wrap up. Finally, once you've made it through your entire slideshow, depending on the context, you might include a slide that just says questions. This is pretty common in academic settings. Or alternatively, you might end your presentations with either your professional contact information or the contact information of an organization, business, or whatever sort of institution you happen to be representing. Okay, that's it for today. Have a great day and take care.